very much for joining us for this afternoon panel at the 2020 Waste Summit. Our panel topic this afternoon is what can businesses and citizens do to promote green and circular economy business models. My name is Michael Wasserman. I'm a circular economy consultant at UNDP, and I will be your moderator this afternoon. Just to start with a few short announcements, we ask all participants to please remain muted for the entire duration of the panel. If you have any questions, please enter them in the chat box. We will monitor the chat box throughout the panel, and there will be about 30 to 45 minutes at the end where we'll take all the questions for our panelists. And this panel will be recorded, so you'll be able to go back later and rewatch if you so please. So to start, I would like to introduce our participants. We have Jeff, the CEO of Knai Chatt in Kai. We have Sandy, who's the CEO of Only One Planet. We have Phynuch, who's the head of the Accelerator, the head of solution mapping at the UNDP Accelerator Lab, and Thong, who's the principal consultant at the Idea Consultancy. So, switch to the before getting into our presentations, next slide. Would like to just take one moment to give you a brief introduction to the circular economy, as it will be an important part of today's presentation. So you can see at the top of your screen is a visual description of the linear economy, where products or raw materials are taken from the earth, products are designed and produced, distributed for mass consumption, which creates a lot of waste. What UNDP is working to promote with many business leaders in Cambodia is an alternative economic model called the circular economy. In a circular economy, there's less resource extraction. Products are designed for repair and reuse and for less resource use. They're optimized throughout their life cycle. And for waste management, we have improved collection and increased recycling to try and keep resources in use for as long as possible. So with that brief introduction, I would like to pass the floor to Jeff, who will be talking about Knai Chatt.
Good afternoon, Jeff Moons, owner, founder, CEO of Knai Chatt. First of all, Michael and UNDP, thank you for inviting us to the Waste Summit. In our global economy, we're having a new generation of travelers coming to Cambodia, and they're looking for answers. They really want to know how you as a hotel operate. They also, as a guest, want to know not what they can experience, but how they will experience. And finally, in the travel world, they will ask what impact their stay will have when booking an experience. So we know that travelers will look for less crowded spaces. So creating safety platforms serving with respect for local identity will be needed to survive in these challenging times. So today we operate leaner, we embrace change, we adapt, and we build up resilience. Certainly, we do not create waste. We have to change our attitude and go from a linear economy to a circular operation. So linear economy is we mine raw materials, we make and we dispose. I think in 2020, we have to admit that reducing, reusing, and recycling is the way to go. Also, we have to focus not only on eco-efficiency in our operations, but also on eco-effectivity. So being effective is about doing the right things, and being efficient is doing the things right. So it's not only looking at the dollar value and being efficient, but also try to operate effectively. Reuse, downcycling, forget it. We're going to upcycle and recycle. As a sustainable operation, know that Knai Chatt is international certified sustainable, platinum certified even. And running a sustainable operation only has advantages. You create new jobs, you create higher capacity with your staff. We measure our actions so good because we work on 450 indicators every day. We do not do mistakes in our operation, or we do less mistakes, so we become more efficient. So by operating sustainable, we avoid environmental damage. We create absolute competitive advantage, also because we connect well, we connect differently, we sail the blue oceans, and we become likable. So Knai Chatt, we promote ourselves as a guilt-free travel template. The business model expands our financial capital to include also long-term investments in society and in environment. So let's go further. How do we best reduce our waste in the hospitality sector? First of all, prevention. Don't forget that step. It's all about management techniques, finding your preferred suppliers who do not give you too much packaging, who will retake packaging, where you can rotate your package with, then reuse all the materials like fabric, packaging, paper, and oil. The recycle is a very important point, and all our organics are recycled. So on the right side here, you can see 65% of our waste are organics, and 100% of our organics are composted. We have normal composting. It's a decomposing process. We have bokashi. It's a fermentation process. And vermiculture, it's just like composting, including with worms to enhance the process. Upcycling, every hotel can upcycle. We do it with our glass water bottles and wine bottles. We cut them, we make water glasses from it. And a very funky project is our pineapple top roof garden. At Knai Chatt, if you drink a pineapple juice, we replant the stem, and after 1.5 years, you have given me 5 pineapples back. All those things can be funny, but if you have a super good green team and you really work on all those details, you really make a difference. So a little bit of results. 65% organics are treated, 20%, 19% are recycled, and only 11% is going to the dump site. I think this is a phenomenal result. You see the 5% which is not included in our waste. This is coming from the crab market, from the sea, Vietnam. So I hope that also Cap municipality will do their part to reduce waste. Finally, sharing knowledge is what we like to do. Knai Chatt is not only a rejuvenation template where you come for a spa, good food, or some sport. We like to educate you, and education is part of your rejuvenation. So for all hotels, schools, restaurants, come and learn with us. We know how to create circular economy. We can teach you how to become international certified sustainable. And if you like us to teach you about organic gardens or hydroponics, yes, we can. And that is Knai Chatt. Knai Chatt is a product not for the individual pleasure. Knai Chatt is not mine. Knai Chatt is ours. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jeff. That was really great to hear about all the amazing things that Knai Chatt is doing. Now I'd like to pass the floor to Sandy, the CEO of Only One Planet.
Okay, thank you so much for inviting me. My name is Sandy Kotan. I'm the owner director of Only One Planet. We started about 2 years ago. And we sell a variety of plastic-free alternatives. And we believe that there is plenty that businesses and citizens can do to promote green and circular economy business models. But it takes collaboration. None of us can do it on our own. We are proud to be fully registered, self-sustaining social enterprise. We generate money by selling our products and we invest it back into green programs and educational awareness and supporting other green initiatives as well. So over the course of just a little over 2 years, we are really happy. We just went over 1 million styrofoam boxes replaced with compostable boxes. About 800,000 pieces of plastic cutlery have been replaced with wooden. Nearly 700,000 plastic straws with edible noodle straws. And various home items. We have a line for consumers that is silicone. And we use silicone because it contains no chemicals. And it can be used for a very long time. So we it's hard to come up with a replacement value here, but we took a shot and we try to go lower. But we figure around 30 million pieces of single-use plastic with all of the silicone we've sold. We also like to share information. We have a great resources spot on our website. We do a section for eco-calculators, which I haven't been promoting enough. But it basically, you can put in how many bottles of water you or your family uses, what you pay for it, and you can see what that bottled water is costing you every year, and how many bottles are going into landfill. There's also one for coffee shops to show you if you just stop serving customers in a plastic cup, sit-down customers, what your annual savings would be. And one also for hotels, for plastic water bottles in the room. We have eco videos that we get from all over the place. We keep a recycling info list, which I'll talk a little bit more about later. And eco food list, which same thing, those are 2 points I'll go into more later. We also curate a lot of articles. I read a lot about these problems. When I see something that I think is fairly unbiased and good information, I will try to link it here. And like I said, it's there for everybody to see and share. Also, Cambodia eco-orgs, if people want more information, international eco-orgs, all kinds of education. I get a lot of inquiries from teachers about what can I do, how can I use, and there's a lot of information there. And when I create graphics in English and Khmer, I'll upload them and everybody can use whatever they want. We also do, some of our community work is we are involved in the Phnom Penh glass recycling in that I help Brittany moderate this group and we promote people bringing their glass for recycling, sending it up to Siem Reap where it's crushed. Collaboration is farm to table. We also do Phnom Penh Minimalist and Free Cycle, which is a new group which has gone really well. But it's where if you have anything extra, you can post it. Anybody can come pick it up for free. So it's kind of like a community recycling, but there are a number of businesses that often need things on an ongoing basis. And that's where the recycling list from that first comes in. I keep a list of all businesses with contacts and how you can get your things to them and what they collect. And that is a collaboration with YK Art House or Bon Bon Lai. During the first part of this year, when COVID hit, we worked together with the IDEA on the Eat to Donate program, and that's now closed, but we were able to distribute over 1,000 meals to families, working with a variety of restaurants in Phnom Penh, to families that needed it via Friends International. So the IDEA, Slepria, Friends International, many local restaurants. One thing we're working on now is a story of plastic, which is a documentary detailing the big picture of the environmental impacts of plastics production. And I really like this documentary because everybody talks about the end product and the waste disposal problem of plastic. But this goes into the whole story about how damaging it is to the environment when it's made, and all of the chemicals. And so we were able to get that through a wonderful grant from Heinrich Boll Foundation, dubbed into Knai. And we are making it available to businesses. Anybody who wants to show it can show it. It's entirely free. Nobody's making a penny off of this. We're just hoping to get it out there. It's available online through our Facebook page. Like I say, or businesses can do it, a physical viewing if they like. The only caveat, you can't charge for it. So Heinrich Boll Foundation, Impact Hub, a lot of collaborations there. But the one that we really want to highlight now is Cocoa List. Knai Chatt is a big feature on that in Cap City. But it is a website that connects eco-friendly businesses with consumers who want to support eco-friendly businesses. It's both in Vietnam and Cambodia, but we have Phnom Penh, Siem Reap, Kampong Kep, Sihanoukville, and Battambang so far. And it's available both in English and Khmer. It's cocalist.app, and this is what a listing looks like. That's 11-1 Kitchen, who we all know does a great job in Phnom Penh of reducing their single-use plastic. But the great thing about it is kind of a collaborative. Anyone can add a business. Anyone can suggest edits to a business if a business is doing more than what is listed. Anyone can leave a review and say, great job. It's a free resource both for consumers and tourists, when and if they ever come back, and free advertising for eco-conscious businesses. Now, again, this is a nonprofit, community-driven. The guy who is putting the website together doesn't charge a thing. I don't charge a thing. It's just hopefully to support businesses like Knai Chatt and all of the restaurants, hotels mainly right now, to go green and give them a platform. We're going to be launching a bit of a campaign, and it's going to be Choose to Refuse, and we'll be starting to distribute these stickers to everyone who is in the program and trying to get more people to go and use the program. And we're particularly pushing for more Khmer restaurants to join. We have a lot of sort of higher end Western restaurants. We really want to get this out to the Khmer people now. So that's how we do it. And we love working with anybody and everybody. I think I've worked with everybody sitting here. So it's lovely to be with all of you guys. And that's my presentation.
Great. Thank you so much, Sandy, for your presentation, and really incredible to hear that you hit that 1 million styrofoam box mark that you've replaced with your product. So congratulations. Now I'd like to pass the floor to Phynuch, who is the head of solution mapping at UNDP Accelerator Lab.
Right. Thank you, Michael, and thank you, White Speech Summit 2020 team, to have me today, and also our leaders in circular economy sitting here today. Like Sandy mentioned, we've been working with everybody. So my topic and what I'm going to share in the next few minutes is something about waste bin experiment. So I'm Phynuch, the head of solution mapping from UNDP Accelerator Labs. So the UNDP Accelerator Labs is the new global innovation network launched last year globally in 60 countries to help bring innovation value into UNDP work. Mainly we marry our innovation practice and tools with the expertise of country office like UNDP and Michael and others colleagues here in Cambodia. So this is the second initiative on circular economy. Our first one is on alternative straw experiment. And today I'm going to advocate for this experiment and call out for participants who are in the room today to join us as well. So why waste bin experiment? So why waste bin in the first place? So it's a very simple topic. Waste bin is all around us. So when we talk about public littering, we talk about waste not being separated effectively. We talk about many things. It's a complex issue. It's a systematic problem. So it takes us as consumer, and it takes also the waste collector and many others in the ecosystem to work together. So one of the simple things that we notice is waste bin has been there for ages and decades, and nobody taking really bold action into trying to thinking why waste bin is not being placed as important actors in waste collection and separations. So the idea behind it is to try and do something differently. So how can we make sure, how can we improve, how can we make waste bin, the normal one, more effective? Meaning that it could maybe encourage more citizens to use waste bin. It could encourage more citizens to separate waste. And it's also inclusive for children, disabled people, and also waste collector, easier for them to collect waste and take the recycled waste into the factories and recycling industry and more. So that is the idea behind. So what we're going to do is, so starting from next week, you're gonna see the announcement on UNDP Facebook page and also the Urban Challenge, which is the name we give it to this experiment. So the idea is we're going to launch this innovation challenge to everybody out there. So be it students, professionals, or anyone in Cambodia, you can join us, submit your concept, what a new waste bin would look like, how to make it more effective. And we will have your prototype. We will select the best one to prototype and test it at the National Stadium. So we're gonna see in real life how this new waste bin work out and the feedback we get, and then we come back and redesign a new one and test it in multiple rounds. So the idea is simply to look at the power of citizens. So it's important, and it's also something that we discussed today in this topic on the citizen involvement in circular economy. So the idea of collective intelligence or citizens engagement is the backbone of this design. We believe in the power of diversity. So people coming from different backgrounds and citizens may be able to tell us what best the waste bin would look like, rather than us, a bunch of people in the room trying to give them what best for them. But they tell us what best for them instead. And also we're thinking about when we get the prototype, we need to think about how can we make sure this prototype get out there and then we get the most out of it. Meaning that we need to design an experiment. That is why thinking about location, we're thinking about days, we're thinking about many other factors when we put it out there. So that is why we have an experiment week at the National Stadium for 10 days. And the winner will get incentive and rewards and certificates and learning session with us all as well. So don't forget to join the experiment. One thing I love to say, and I love to end my presentation with is, most of the innovation instrument history, breakthroughs, innovation technology like smartphones, is all about coming from people who see the problem differently and try different solutions. Try something that has never been before. And that's the spirit. Like all of us here, try something quite new, or maybe quite old, or maybe quite usual, but in a different way, business model or material, to arrive at something more useful, more sustainable for the society. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Phynuch, for your presentation. And I think it's really great that we're working on some overlooked topics that seem very simple but have complex solutions. So it's great that we're working on this. I would like to now pass the floor to Sean, who is the principal consultant at the IDEA Consultancy.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you, everybody, and thank you for inviting me here. So a quick little bit about the IDEA. What we do at the IDEA is we use branding, communication, research, and training to influence behavior change. And the way we do it is basically through these three things: empathy, honesty, and clarity. So when we talk about empathy, one thing that we need to remember is that it's not just about understanding how other people feel, but it's actually understanding how they feel in their shoes, not how we feel in their shoes. It is about their reality, not my understanding of their reality. So keeping this in mind, as brand and business owners, often like we're thinking about, customer segments and consumer segments and need gaps. And we are trying to say, oh, our message should show, tell the people how we can make their lives better. But the thing is that like, if we stop thinking about them as customers and consumers and think of them as moms, dads, brothers, sisters, who actually know more about their lives than we know about their lives. They know what difficulties they're facing and they are trying their best to do to take care of themselves, be it health and be their environment, their home environment, all of that. So in that case, we need to understand that how do we drive our message to them? Is it about saving the planet or is it about taking care of yourself? For example, like if I'm thinking of a person who earns $300 a month, has 5 to 6 family members, for this person, like waste separation, single-use plastic is the last thing in his or her head, Single-use plastic is actually not single-use for them, it's multiple use. And they're using single-use plastic for hygiene issues, to protect their food, to keep their food safe. Okay, so they see it from a very different angle. The moment we think of it like that, our messaging is going to change. Our messaging is going to be about not saving a planet which is 4.7 billion years old, but about taking care of ourselves, which is more relevant and which is more relatable and feels like we can do this. It's not too big for me, or it's not somebody else's problem. The planet is somebody's problem. My home is my problem. So how do we get to that level, right? Then once we get the messaging right, what we look at is like, who are we going to talk to first? Because in every category, we will see that there's some, people have inclination towards certain things. Some people incline more towards music. Some people incline more towards environment. Some people just want a good lifestyle. It's not so much about the environment. So what are we talking about? And let's find the people who adopt these practices first, because we want to grow as a community, right? Once we identify the community we want to talk to first, then let's see what are the barriers there. Because there are lots of barriers, like greenwashing is a problem because people are, sometimes people are like, yeah, you're saying it's eco-friendly, but how do I know? Because there is no mechanism to really, there is no system or, set infrastructure where you can find the knowledge possibly. Then it's like, oh, it's something that's affordable and sustainable. That's immediately sometimes it's a doubt. How can this happen? How can you get something good at a good price? It's impossible, right? We're not used to it, right? So that's why we want to do is take this community approach. And so it's basically, I get the first 100 people and the 100 people will get their friends and it becomes 200, then it becomes 400. So it's a slow and steady growth, but a strong one. And also because this is a nascent market still in Cambodia and we do not have the big budgets, we do not have the budgets of the Pepsi and the Cokes to spend. So the other thing is that we need to encourage people to seek help and ask for suggestions. Because any change is difficult, and when somebody tells you that, oh no, that's wrong, you should do that, immediately there's going to be a bit of pushback because nobody likes to hear that they're wrong. But I don't like to be told that I'm wrong most of the times. So it's like, how do we encourage people? It's okay. Sometimes we'll make mistakes during this change. It's fine. And it's not about perfection. It's continuous progress. We will get there slowly, but it's important to keep that progress on. And keep that conversation on, do that small change. Maybe it starts with carrying a water bottle and not getting rid of all the single-use plastic from your life. It's kind of impossible to do that right now. It's not even affordable at times to, certain alternate products are not really affordable. Like if I want to buy a bottle of affordable hand sanitizer, I don't know where to find hand sanitizer other than the brand that we have launched recently, which doesn't come without single-use plastic. So, and then also like absolute honesty in terms of product information also. Like what ingredients are there in your product? Some products will have all pure natural ingredients, but sometimes it's not possible to get rid of all the chemicals, and all chemicals are not bad chemicals. So let's give all the information. This is what is in there. This is what we do to you. This is what we couldn't get rid of for the time being. We are trying. We will get there. We'll let you know. So absolute, honesty and transparency, that gives people the confidence, even if it's something that's 10% or 15% more expensive, like it's okay, I have the trust, it's good for me. Then is a clarity of information. Because again, change is difficult. Now I'm thinking from like a small F&B, a restaurant's point of view. And first, if I want to make this change, like how am I going to make this change? So we need to set the process first. What is the procedure? Where is the supply coming from? Where will you find all this information? Once we set the process in place, then we find the right people who actually believe in this vision to communicate this. Because if they're not aligned with the vision, then you will not be able to communicate properly. And once that happens, then we set up the physical infrastructure. For example, good to inspire people to separate waste, but if there's no waste bins, what's the point? So we need to create that physical infrastructure first, and that's how we will be able. So these 3 points are kind of very critical in bringing about that clarity. There are a couple of projects that we have done at the IDEA. So Volunteer Nation is a very ground-up advocacy approach. This is a strong, big group of high school students and college students, and they basically advocate for alternate waste separation and waste management at a very ground level through the various festivals that we organize. And also we participate in various public events. And this is basically they stand next to waste bins, guide people how to separate and dispose. When there's a pushback, they're trained how to manage that conflict. Because sometimes, people are like, why are you telling me where I need to throw things? That's a problem they face. Actually, like, this is how you talk to them then. Do not dictate. This is how you explain a solution. So there is a lot of soft skill training requirement there. Then, so we organize also something called Slapria, which is the biggest food festival in Cambodia. This started around 3-4 years back. A couple of reasons why we started this. One is we love food, basically. Okay. Second thing was that we wanted to create like a live R&D ground, because there is this thing, what people say and what people do, there's a big gap in there. So instead of doing focus groups and asking people, we said, why don't we create a live research ground? Now, to create a live research ground, I'm thinking from a business owner's point of view. Why would the business owner kind of, spare 2 hours of his life, which he could have, spent, earned money and come and talk to me about, waste management? So, but at a food festival, he's making money. So he has an incentive to participate in there, right? So here what we did was, but the first thing again, what we did is we ensured that we give them access to subsidized alternative products through partnerships with Sandy and some other partners too. And then we set up a proper process where not only they had access to these products, but we trained them. There were training videos which they could access. We set up proper like a reward and punishment thing. So if you, for example, if you use 50% alternative products, then maybe you do not, like you get a 50% discount on the booth. So there is an incentive there for them to follow. And this also like helps them, like introduces them to the system, people who have never, interacted with the alternative world. And from a consumer point of view, people are coming to the food festival, we see what kind of communication works. You see that little signage out there, like this basically waste separation, which is not really visible properly. So, and then we have the volunteers there who are standing next to the bins, guiding people, checking, auditing, going around, doing the rounds with the vendors, everybody. And there's a proper process. You take photos, like if there are people are keeping their, separating their waste or not. So that at the end of the day, there is no conflict there. So this is what you see. If you show me that you have separated waste, here's the proof, here's your discount. So absolute clarity again. So this is how we are, and this is not, we have had this 3 years old, and we have almost had 6 festivals. We have a mini version of it also. Unfortunately, we cannot do it this year. And maybe next year, March, we'll be able to host this again. Then earlier this year, like we launched Just Good. And this started basically, I mean, all of us in office, we were thinking, we always talk about bringing in this behavioral change, but we in our office ourselves struggle to find these products. If I want to buy a shampoo, or if I want to buy, dishwashing, shampoo is still easier, a dishwashing liquid, or like a laundry detergent, where do I find something which is still affordable and minus the plastic? And that's when we started with Just Good refills. And we source all these products locally, and they're all locally made. They're all made with natural ingredients, and they are made by the local community. But before we went to market, we set our process as well, like the online forms to what the product information, also like absolutely no trade secrets, like each product we tell them what chemicals are there, what chemicals are not there, and what these chemicals do to you, what these chemicals don't do to you. So there's absolute like clarity of information. And what really worked well for us in this particular project was we launched it small. We partnered with YK Art House, the little station is YK Art House. We got so much feedback from the community. That's what helped us. We improved our service. Like initially we said, you know what, we are not going to launch, we are not going to have bottles, we are not selling bottles because we do not want to encourage people to buy bottles. The people have bottles at home. But then somebody messaged like, you want to buy, but I threw away all my bottles. What do I do? Like, okay, we'll get you some. So when somebody asks us for a bottle, yes, we have it for you. But we got so much feedback from the community in terms of their communications, be it products, telling us what product is good, what product is they don't like, for what reasons. And it has been a proper community sort of, we get so much feedback from YK Art House, and that's how it's going slowly but steadily. So that's all I have for today. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Sean, for presenting about all of these different initiatives, and I look forward to when Slapria can happen again. Very enjoyed it last year. So we just had 4 really, really great presentations from, I think, 4 different areas of circular economy, from business supplier, from the consumer behavior change point of view. So I encourage everyone to drop any questions in the chat if you have them. And I will ask some questions to start. And if our panelists have any questions for each other, feel free to jump in. Hopefully we can spend the next 40 or so minutes having a nice conversation about what businesses and consumers can do to embrace circular economy practices. So just as a starting question, I would like to ask all our panelists, in your work as a business owner, a business supplier, and more of the behavior change, what is one of the biggest challenges you see for yourself or the people you work with when working towards kind of engaging these circular economy practices? So we can start, yeah, Jeff, please.
I think with Knai and Chatt, what we saw, the biggest problem is to keep moving forward and to keep getting that behavior change. So I think before anybody starts to work circular, you need to well prepare yourself and integrate every single member of your organization. If the owner or the GM alone says, let's go circular, it doesn't work because it's a chain. So if you have a bar or a restaurant, or you want to make impact, a mini or a large environmental management plan that is needed, which is the first level of actions I think I can do well with my team. That you start communicating. And then little by little, you create a green team. This is how we did it. We feed them with information so they learn. Then we ask them to participate, and then we create engagement. But it's like you say, you have to be very honest. You have to have very clear messages, and the people need to realize the why. And here I want to say, we all know what we do. Many people know how to do things, but not many people know why we have to do things. And I think this is the message for anybody who wants to go circular: be real, do it slowly, and integrate everybody. And I think that's the difficult step.
Please, Sally, can I go first? Sure. That's a very good question, Michael, and thank Jeff for sharing your thoughts about that. So from my point of view, from the angles of trying to advocate for innovation tools and thinking and methodology, or maybe try different things, the challenge is it's about people afraid to fail. So it's almost in our instinct that we're afraid to make a mistake, we're afraid to try new things, to change. So it's okay, the message there, I love to quote from Sham that it's okay to make mistake. And that is why we try to put this out as an experiment. So the concept of experimentation is very powerful. So before you go big, start it slow, start it small, and pilot it and try it in a very, how to say, in a very experimental way so that you can learn from that. So the idea is that we all will make mistakes, but at some point, how can we make that mistake so meaningful that it inform the success at the next stage? So that is why we keep it as an experiment. So we put out that and work with real people. So we try to change the way that we try to think in a box, try to think in a room, you know, discussing policies and many more, and bring experts, but not talking to the user, the end user themselves. So it's important to advocate for, you know, go there and try out in the real field, with the real people, in the real locations, you know, go there and try it out, and come back and readjust, and come back and readjust until you make it right.
Well, I mean, as a supplier, one of the biggest challenges obviously is cost and trying to find 100% absolute good alternatives at a price that is affordable for most people. I believe, yeah, both of you guys made the point that honesty is, you have to, I mean, I have to be 100% upfront about everything. And I will not bring in a new product unless I am convinced, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that it's not going to break into microplastics, that it doesn't contain harmful chemicals. So I've got to do a lot of research, and and we're working on ways, and hopefully in the coming months, we will find ways to bring some of these products in that will be more affordable. We're hoping to produce them in Cambodia and find a way to make that happen. Yeah, and like I say, I do a lot of consulting with people, like an ice cream vendor in Cap who really wanted to not use plastic. In the end, we couldn't find something without plastic. That was just the best. You know, we couldn't find anything that would not absorb without moisture, without compromising the product. So yeah, I mean, in that case, it's like, okay, well then it's a paper with a plastic lining, and that's the best we can do. So there are no perfect solutions, I think, but we can just do the best we can do. And like I say, making mistakes is part of it, because we're all learning.
As long as we learn quickly from the mistake.
Sorry?
I mean, as long as we learn quickly from the mistake.
Hopefully quickly,
fix it.
yeah.
That's what we want to do.
We also, like, you know, to Jeff's point of like the internal team, like we went through that in our office also, and we're still going through it. Because to be very honest, even I got into this being environmentally conscious mode maybe 3 years back. I was not always like very conscious, and that transition happened gradually. And there are a lot of us in our office, we do not come from activism background, or we're not coming from the eco business. We are coming from marketing, branding, research, training, different kinds of finance, accounting, all of that. We put a punishment system in our office. Like every time somebody gets a single-use plastic, $1 goes to the clocks. It helped quite a bit. I paid a lot of dollars too in that. Initially, then I learned my lessons. Yeah.
I think both Jeff and Phynuch mentioned the first step. You have to take that first step. So from both the business side and the consumer side, what do you guys think is one possible first step someone can take for maybe the people listening from Zoom who are hearing and want to hear? What's one step they can make tomorrow or maybe next week from both the business side and the consumer side towards more circular economy practices?
Very, very good follow-up question, Michael. From what I think as a citizen, so we all share the public space. We all share the responsibility to make it clean, right? Like Shaman mentioned, it's not just about our home. So if you think that one step we can do is thinking about the public space as our own home. So do we want to make it clean? Yes. So can we try something? Yes, we can do a lot of things. Or maybe we haven't tried. Maybe some of the people are interested in something, you know, something new, something that you can join hand with them. Try it out. It's not a big deal. You know, just volunteer, just join. So and see how it turns out at the end of the day. Like, if there's a volunteer calling out for cleaning the beach, join them and see why they do it and how much impact it makes. And if there's a new West Wind at the National Stadium, try it out and let us know how does it work. So this is something very important that we want to hear from citizens and participants in this room. And at the individual level, what they can do is huge. There's a lot of space for people and citizens nowadays to try a lot of things. They can do, advocacy, they can do awareness raisings, they can start from their own, they can make a rule at the office, anyone bring plastic in, 1,000 real, for example. So a lot of examples out there for citizens. I would leave the best part on business to Jeff to answer on that.
It's not difficult. It is very easy, and we're there to help any party who wants to learn how to become circular. We're now with UNDP also writing guidelines of how hotels can operate circular. I will one of the things, the preparation, how to build up a team, it's connect your management team and let them discover, engage, and learn. So they have to be confident. Let them get used to a new normal and let them feel good. Never go against the stream. It is normal that any new activity needs time. The step one is sharing knowledge. So your team doesn't know what is circular, what is a carbon credit. They know eco and green, but your staff doing the garden later, they need to know some terms. So redirect in your morning meetings 5 minutes to sustainability, to enhance your operation to become more circular. Then these are the small updates you give. Then to integrate all your staff, all your head of departments, because in the hospitality sector, it's not only maintenance, but also front office, F&B, who need to recycle upcycling, because, for instance, sorting is done at the source. It's not just dumped outside somewhere in a hotel and then sorted. So little by little, you engage and you learn, and your head of departments need to understand well and train their staff. So it's a process that needs to be really very structured or you fail. And all the head of departments are part of the green team, and we have a green leader, and it's supported by the GM and the owner. So redirecting time, connecting multiple times, do training sessions, and ask the people, once you have your big picture, and the big picture is for every hotel the same, then see where your connections are with your head of departments and start with their ideas. Because the main thing is we want to create success, small successes. Engage the people and let them feel proud. And once you reach a goal, it's very good for team spirit, and then you can implement a broader range of actions. For Knai Chatt, we couldn't do it alone. So we asked for professional help. We have a professional sustainability manager. We also work with a certification project. So we work, it's more than 450 indicators. I think it's now 480. But it's very simple because we start with number one. Can we do this? Yes. Can we do that? No. Can we try to do this? Yes. And systematically, you work through all those points with your team. And at the end, it's easy. You just stay committed, stay in team, reward people, and move forward.
Really great, yes. And from you, Sandy, you have several different products. What do you think is maybe the first step if you're saying, okay, I can't afford to change everything from single-use plastic to alternatives. I just can pick maybe one. What do you think is a good first step for businesses?
For businesses, like I said, mainly for coffee shops, for hotels for F&B, I think plastic bottles is probably the easiest, at least for sit-down customers. Getting some glasses, serving filtered water as opposed to bottled water, to me is probably, you know, it can be, depending on the kitchen facilities, whether or not they have the washing facilities, it can be onerous for some. But for those that are set up, that already have it, it's to me, that's one of the biggest impacts you can have with the smallest amount of effort for most places. I won't say everybody.
Sean, do you have any first steps for businesses or consumers?
You know what because we are somewhere in the middle, right? We are doing the behavior change thing. So what we try sometimes is, you know, most of the times a lot of businesses look at this as an expense. But how do we change that mindset to this is not an expense, it's an investment. You know, it's a long-term investment. In the long term, it's actually going to make you money, right? So in that case, you know, and often like, you know, like we have ideas doing behavior change, you're in the development sector, you're in the business of alternatives. When the message comes from us, it's fine. But when the message comes from another business owner, for example, who has already done it, and you show that as a case study and you have a business-to-business conversation between two business owners, I think if you could do that, that would be great. Like somebody who has done it, made that investment and is benefiting from it, and somebody who is very cautious or anxious and sees that as an expense. Because then they are two business minds talking. I think looking at those kind of conversations would be interesting. That we have more influence there, maybe. That's one.
I think all of us may agree this isn't easy. A lot of these changes sometimes can take time for the full circular economy to happen. And we talk a lot, at least at UNDP, and this enabling environment. So what do you think maybe is one regulation or one action from different stakeholders that can help create that enabling environment to build support amongst the people you work with to take up these circular economy practices?
Sorry, I missed information.
Any regulation, any type of support, more awareness raising, what action can help create an enabling environment to help people take up circular economy actions?
Laws, like proper laws and regulation which punishes and rewards people. Right now, there is no reward really for being sustainable. Like from the government's taxation point of view, you do not really get any benefit, for example. Like if there's rewards and regulations like that, and punishments also. Because sometimes people question that, why should I do this? Like, what is the benefit of doing this? But they are not doing it, why should I do this? So if there's a law and regulation which kind of,
it takes an ecosystem as a whole. So it could be anyone in that. If you are consumers, try to change it, you know, a little bit, you know, day by day. If you are the business owners and business, you know, you try to change as much as you can, like Sandy just mentioned, try it small. So it's taken the entire ecosystem. So there's a lot of innovators out there, change makers. So they're doing different things. So if you see, if you spot in this ecosystem, nobody has ever done this before. So why not you? Why not, you know, waiting for somebody else to do it? So why not you and try to fill the gap, you know? Because there's so many people talking, doing awareness raising, right? And there's need alternative into business. Like Sandy introduced alternatives, and how about, you know, I and UNDP introduce something called waste bin, maybe, you know, a better ways to separate and collect waste. You know, try something that never done before. Fill the gap, you know, be the one who complete the puzzle.
From a supplier side, I mean, I feel very strongly that business registration and being above board is something that needs to happen. And I feel very strongly about that. But I mean, for me, the regulation that would mean the most is a VAT exemption for really, truly eco products. Yeah, there's a lot of unregistered businesses are kind of creeping in, and I'm automatically 10% more expensive because I do charge that VAT. And again, if I didn't have to charge it, I could lower the prices, and we you know, it's all kind of a self-hitting circle on that.
Government, NGO, private sector. We're all three different animals with three different timelines, and we all have to work with different budgets. From my side, we're in the commercial area. We don't measure ourselves only on financials, so we are impact managers. I reach out, I share, I gain knowledge, I place it on platforms, and I reach out to third persons. Can we ask to change the law? No single-use plastic in Cambodia anymore. I think it's not possible. Can I ask Kep municipality to have in 2023 a new dump site to start immediately with the waste treatment center? No, because Kep will grow and the capacity that we project will always be too small. Can we ask them to start sorting so they can earn money with the waste? I think yes. And I think as a small commercial identity, it is my task to reach out in the hope that people will follow. Government, authority, we can train schools, we can do this, but we cannot change law. I think this is for His Excellency Saisamal, yes, to see if he can make some changes here in Cambodia, with the Minister of Commerce, to see that you don't have to pay VAT. A few small initiatives from all parties would be most welcome to work more circular and environmental friendly.
Thank you all for your input. I'll move to some questions from the chat, and for everybody watching, I encourage you all to please just drop it in if you have any questions, and we're happy to answer any of them. This one is for Phynuch. The question is regarding the waste bin experiment. How far are waste pickers included in the different ecosystems with these new changed bins, and how may they benefit from this?
That's a very good question. I actually supposed to mention this, that leading up to the prototype stage. Before we do that, we have multiple sessions that we will open for public opinions, and at the same time, we will invite over the informal waste picker into the room as well. So we listen to them. So we listen to, how can waste bin make their life a lot easier, or how can we design a new waste bin that support them to, collect waste more effectively. So it's all about, like Sean mentioned, it's all about putting ourselves in their shoes, talking to them, hearing their feedback. So understand, what are the struggling, is it the waste bin nowadays too small for them? Is it because there's no tools and option for them to unload all the waste inside the bin? Or is it because it's not clean for them to move around, sort of things? So exactly, we will listen to them. We will reach out to them and work together to incorporate their feedback.
Yeah, I think it's important that the waste bins are not just for people to throw away their waste. We have to think about, on the other end, how people interact with them, those who collect it, especially when we can see in Phnom Penh there's more work to be done, and throughout Cambodia to keep things clean and important to these actors. Actually, I want to take a second to ask Jeff, you separate all your waste at Knai Bank Chatt and interact with this informal system through your recyclables. Can you talk a little bit more about, you mentioned the organic waste, but then on the recyclable waste, how you handle this at Knai Bank Chatt?
Yes, this is absolutely a challenge, because the solution of today is not the solution of tomorrow. So plastic bottles, cardboard cans, stainless steel cans, scrap metal, oil, all those things we have people where we can deliver. So first, reducing. Talking about the ice cream in Kep, our ice cream is delivered from Phnom Penh in plastic boxes, but they take back the boxes. So we have zero waste with our ice cream. That's already good. Now, bottles, most of the bottles we can sell. Okay, we sell them in Kampot. If we cannot sell them, we try to be creative. For instance, there is an NGO in Kampot who wanted to build a glass house with bottles. So we deliver it there. So we have part-time solutions. Sometimes we need to stock a little bit longer and then we can sell it again. Our oil, we can sell it and receive biodiesel. So we trade. We can sell, we can trade, we can also donate some products. Donation is also good because it's like recycling. You donate this, you give it, the product, a new life. And then there are problems like styrofoam boxes. That's the worst trash we can have. It's very difficult to find a solution for it. With the suppliers, we have rotations of insulated boxes, so we don't create extra styrofoam boxes. And now we are working again with creating preferred suppliers so that it's a corporate guideline not to accept certain trash where we don't have a solution for. Because the aim is to go to zero waste. Can we do this in Knai Chatt? Not yet. Is it needed? I think it's better that we try to make impact by teaching other restaurants how they can already reduce their waste by 80% and meanwhile try to grow more solid ourselves. But yes, selling all those items is a problem, and when KEP municipality will start, and I reached out already with their dump site, I hope we can help them with guiding them which are the waste streams that you can always sell, where you can make money from, and really reduce the volume of waste.
Great. Thank you very much, Jeff and Phynuch, for your answers. I think when we see these numbers that say, 7.9% of municipal waste is recycled in Cambodia, it really means this informal system that is this walking and purchasing and collecting this. That's quite a robust system. I think you make an excellent point in terms of which materials can you sell and which are not able to enter the system. We had conversations with some suppliers of products. They can just go and ask these informal collectors, what will you collect, what will you not? So as a business, at least you can know this will be collected and recycled, this will not, so I need to replace this first with styrofoam boxes and straws, maybe two of the big ones that are not collected. And we have a request from one of the other organizers that if anyone has a question and would like to be unmuted, we can also unmute. So you can ask through the chat to be unmuted, and we can do that. But before then, we have another question about the waste bin experiment and all presenters. I'll just read it for everyone. If consumers are being trained, advocated, influenced to sort their waste, but the collection is not separated and are eventually dumped unsorted, how can this be dealt with? Are there any plans to advocate for a macro approach to balance this behavior change approach?
Wow.
Take that first, Phynuch?
Yes, it's a very big question, and yes, it takes the entire ecosystem again. So as far as we know, the Ministry of Environment is doing something around that. They're thinking about the entire recycling system. So what we can do inside this for this question particularly is the waste bin itself. It's play one big functions in the recycling and separating. So it's important to making sure that part of the systems are there. So which part of the system we are trying to have it. So what we're trying to do is to make sure there's a facility and there's a tool for people to start recycling, to start separating. And then from there, we also work with Ministry of Environment and other parties to understand, hey, now we have the bin that proven working. People enjoying separating. People enjoying, being clean by using the bin. So what's next is that, is there any challenge for them to take it from there? So if the waste collection company is that your waste bin is not really user-friendly for their staff, so we need to redesign it. We need to come back and see, why it's not, user-friendly, why it's not effective for them to unload or take only the recyclable waste sort of things. So our intervention is mainly, first step is to making sure that the beams is effective in using it to separate waste. And then from there, we also work with waste collection companies and informal waste pickers to tell us whether now we have people putting and using the beam. So from your side, is it effective for you to use the beam, to take the recyclable material from there? So that's the answer, and I hope that answered the question as well.
If anyone else like to add? Well, I think you see already in Phnom Penh, in all the streets, in the morning, the people are coming. Do you have plastic? You can give your plastic. Do you have cans? You have your cans. Do you have paper? You can give your paper. So these are already recycling systems which are here in every street in Phnom Penh, and where people are generating a few hundred real with every morning when they pick up the trash. So if you can make a bin for those existing waste streams already, then you know you will be successful, and you know you're reaching out to poverty. So I think this is really excellent, but you don't have to go too far because government needs to follow. And it's too early, and there is no money for government to set up big waste treatment systems yet. Also, the people, they do not have the money to pay, for instance, $10 a month per household for you to sort all your trash. So step by step, listen to what is possible, and try to get already a success with those 3 waste streams. That would already be an excellent success.
I mean, I think even expanding the informal sector, something that comes to mind is on that recycling spreadsheet I keep, there is a cat shelter, and they are using recycled, they're begging people for paper because they use it for kitty litter. Instead of buying kitty litter, they're using shredded paper. And I think that's absolutely brilliant, but they can't get enough. There's no place for them to go. I mean, it's now just people doing their donations as they get it. So expanding the informal sector and redirecting this stuff to places that really could use it, I think would be a big help to begin with, and hopefully reduce the need for such big infrastructure.
And we have another question here for Sean. It says, why do you think that to erect a physical infrastructure is more beneficial than working with a lively organic infrastructure that already exists? I'm referring here to the waste pickers that are connected infrastructurally in a wide network with depots and intermediaries that make recyclable possible in Cambodia.
Okay, I didn't mean that we need to segregate the both. We definitely need to keep, like the Agiles, we definitely need to work together with them, try to maybe actually formalize that sector. Like you said, let's formalize that sector. By physical infrastructure, what I meant was waste bins, literally having waste bins on street, because that's what we lack right now. We do not have enough waste bins. So what are the waste bins? Is there any reward and punishment for not putting your waste in the bin? So that's what I meant by physical infrastructure. But in this whole thing, we are not saying that we should not look into the existing system at all. We should see how the existing system can be made more efficient, and we can bring them together. And also that gives the GIs a better purchasing power, also a better bargaining power also, because now they're functioning individually, doing the best that they can do. But if we can formalize that system, their lives will also become better. So that's what I meant by physical infrastructure overall. I hope that answers the question.
Do we want to unmute someone who wants to ask a question? It's okay. Okay, right. So please, anybody, if you have questions, add them to the chat. I can ask more questions, of course, in the meantime. I think one thing that Phynuch mentioned during his earlier presentation is waste bins is kind of an overlooked thing that we interact with every single day, but we don't really say this is something that needs to be solved. What are the innovative ways we can look at it? So I'm just wondering here, what are maybe some other overlooked aspects of a circular economy that maybe seem simple but are more complex, or maybe look complex but have simple answers. Anybody can take this question.
Maybe I can go first.
Sure.
Okay. Yes, Michael, yes. That's totally what we are trying to do is we try to fill in the gap, you know, because in 21st century, the complex problem are growing faster than the solution itself. So like just mentioned, the solution for today is not ready for tomorrow. So there's a lot of gap between solutions that we put out there to address the issue. So maybe today we talk about waste bin, but who knows, in the next 5 years, waste bin no longer exists. There's nothing sort of, you know, facility like this. Who knows, technology is developing so fast that, you know, we need to catch up sometimes, and almost all the time we need to catch up with the technology and trend. And that's very important. So one thing maybe we can look out is to open mind and have a bird's eye view, looking at issue as a systematic problems. Look at an issue as, you know, from a very high ground, so that you can see entire ecosystem and see what part is missing, and is it something that you can do as an organization, as a government, as a private sector, as a student, as an innovators, and as a maybe entrepreneurs. So is it something that might be helpful into addressing something that is complex, simple, but overlooked, something that's small, something that's very, you know, authentic and grassroots, but it actually solving the problem. So that's the way that we look at things.
One thing that I would had in my mind for quite a while that I would really love to implement or help move along is, you've seen Siem Reap Food Loop, yeah? Instituting, I mean, in Siem Reap it works well because it's...
Maybe for our participants,
Huh?
explain a bit about...
Siem Reap Food Loop is a grassroots initiative that started up in Siem Reap, and it's basically a composting initiative. And they've grown it, expanded. It's not a huge site. I've been there, it's only 3 bins, but they will go around to businesses or to individual houses for a very small fee and pick it up, or you can drop it off for free. I realize Phnom Penh is a bit more difficult just because of its size, but finding a way to institute small community composting, I think, could help a lot with separating of waste, because you tell people to separate it, but then what do they do with it if they don't have their own place to put it, and it gets stinky and nasty? So if we could somehow in every district, Sanghamitra, whatever, neighborhood have 1 or 2 little bins, have volunteers to go turn it, and then it creates a soil for everybody to use in the community afterward as well. To me, that's something, again, very grassroots, very small, but I think could be very effective.
I think composting would be very good if you could, in the community, like schools, teach them how to compost their organic waste. I think this is super, super good. And if you know that 65% of the waste that we create is organic, so the impact that you can make with small composting areas are good. You can go one step further with those schools or mini organizations or communities that they pick up some other streams of waste where they can earn money with. This is the start of creating recycling centers on a larger level. And if you have a hotel and you can bring your cans and your paper separately to the school and they can earn money with it, then I would certainly do it and not do it anymore on my own grounds. So I think this is a super, super good idea. Before we asked, what can government do to make recycling, circular economy better? I just want to say, as an individual, when I invite 4 or 5 friends at my house for a lunch or a brunch, and I go shopping in the supermarkets, I come home with 3 bags of plastic and a little bit of food. I buy 100 grams of cheese and I get 50 grams of plastic for free. I buy 100 grams of bacon and I got 50 grams of plastic for free. Then they put the bacon in a separate plastic bag, and then they put everything again in a big plastic bag. And then you go home and you went plastic shopping. And that is something that is too disgusting. And I think here, for the government, it's easy to set some rules and regulations of packaging. And if we can do this, we will reduce already an enormous amount of waste here in Cambodia.
I mean, right now, I think all the supermarkets charge like 400 or 500 real something, right? Which is for a plastic bag, which is honestly quite insignificant amount of money. But what if you just ban it? People will remember to take their bags. If you forget the first 2 times, once they have to come back home and go back to the shop, 3rd time they'll remember. Just like, yeah, that should be good, I think, for starters, at least in the supermarkets.
So I think one thing that is important is getting people motivated to be involved in this. And John, you talked about Volunteer Nation for the idea consultancy. So what motivates all these volunteers to get involved with these waste management projects? And then what do you think other groups and businesses can do to replicate this kind of excitement to get involved in community initiatives? And this question is for you, but if anyone else has anything to add, please.
You know, it's one thing that the younger generation, like the 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20-year-olds are more interested and invested in the environment sector than the older generation. They want to see that change. And also a lot of that energy comes from the leadership. There's a lot of energy that we infuse into that group, and we show them why it is important, why it needs to be done. That's where the energy comes from. So I think, again, that energy needs to come from the top at a certain point, at least at the beginning. And once they feel that fact, they do it themselves. I mean, they train each other sometimes. So it is 2 things. One is, yeah, credit to the younger generation. They're actually more interested and invested. That really helps massively. And secondly, yeah, we infuse a lot of energy into it. We show literally why we are interested. And when that conversation happens, they get it. They'll get out at 6 in the morning. On 1st of January, 6 in the morning, they were there for pickup. So, yeah.
Maybe I can add, I come from a volunteering background as well. So it takes sometimes, it takes courage, and it takes an explanation of why you need to do that. Like, sometimes it takes a role model to actually enlighten you, to actually telling you that this kind of course, it's volunteer, it's free, you don't get nothing back, you don't get anything back from that, no salary, no incentives, other things. But maybe one thing that you will learn a lot from volunteering is that it's a mechanism for you to give back to your country, your community, your generation, and the younger ones and the older ones. Like it's an opportunity for you as an individual as well, like to try out something really different, something really new for you. For example, if you are an architect and you want to understand how people in art and people in music industry are doing, you may be volunteering for those kind of business, those kind of activity, right? To try and learn it for free. It's a win-win for you, actually. And I do agree with Sham that it's take a good leadership to actually infuse energy and also direction. Sometimes people, at least, sometimes people need a clear direction to do things rather than using volunteerism to exploit somebody labor and times. So it's take good leadership to navigate and explain why this cause will bring about change and positive change, or maybe a sustainable change to your community. So,
Yeah, that's a good thing you mentioned about it. It shouldn't be seen, and that depends on the leadership, actually. It is not free labor, for sure. Because
Sorry.
there is proper training that they're getting that they can use in their professional life. Something they can actually say that I have volunteered in this organization and or this event and I learned something, because there is no free labor. That's right. And we ensure that they're not treated like free labor, whoever we are partnering with, whoever it is. So that, because then you lose, then you lose their choice of volunteering basically. So yeah, that's something we are very careful about.
In my work, I benefit a lot from a group of volunteers. So they come with fresh ideas, come with energy, and they're so powerful. I consider them as superpowers. So something that maybe you cannot do this alone. Coming with a very creative concept or designing basically, designing an intervention sort of thing. But maybe a group of young volunteers, a group of youth, group of students, can see things differently, and they can help you, unlock a lot of potential inside your projects. So my takeaway is that, if you can open opportunity for volunteers, and you're gonna see a lot of shoot potential and gains, from working with volunteers.
I think moving on to maybe something on the opposite side is some of you mentioned, Jeff, you mentioned the Green Growth 2050 certification you have, and Sean, you mentioned that for your products, you try to say everything they have to kind of say what these products mean, and Sandy, your products have certification for their compostability and biodegradability. So my question is why do you work towards having these certifications that show consumers and businesses their importance? Why do you think that they are important, and what benefits you think maybe your businesses have from these? Your mask is off.
We have to be real. We have to be pure. We have many restaurants, bars, and hotels. They say, we are very sustainable, and the only thing they have
No straws.
is no straws. And they even promote their green. And that is something that is not trustful. I think the first thing, you have to see that you can gain trust. And trust is something that is measurable. Trust is not a story. And that is where Knai by Chatt makes different. We like people to measure us. And it's fun, because we know from where we started, and we failed many times, but we know we're always building up platforms where we build resilience, and we know we're doing a good job. We're now at the point that we have to share our knowledge to other people. But if you have a certification project and you have yearly audits, and you need to have, like last year we had 91.5 points on 100. So we were platinum certified. Maybe this year we only have 85, but there are all those points that you have to work on, and together with your team, you tackle the points that you're ready for it. So a certification project is an extreme good guideline for any hotel, any school, any restaurant, any organization to start with the capacity of your team and build up consistently, but be solid. And see that people can measure you. And that's the certification project which is giving trust.
Yeah, this is something I bang on a lot about. I did a presentation on one of the nerd nights recently, and my topic was greenwashing. And I was amazed at how many people, and people I knew well, didn't know certain things, like the words biodegradable, eco-friendly, all natural, have no legal meaning. Anybody can say that about anything, and often do. So the only way they can back that up is with some sort of certification from a qualified testing center. So I am always telling people, ask for the certifications, ask. And in your case, absolutely. I see that a lot. And I get people who say, well, will you endorse me? And it's like somebody at a hotel CM said, And they bought 500 straws and said, okay, now will you send us a certificate that we're eco-friendly? And I said, no, I won't. You have to do, more than that.
Taking from your point, like the whole PLA concept, like especially in Slap Prayer, like where we are actually introducing vendors to alternative products. I need to be sure that we are giving them the right products and not introducing them to wrong products. For the longest time, I didn't know exactly what PLA was biodegradable or not till you explained it. Till you wrote the wrong paper. I was like, oh, okay, this is actually not what it is claims to be really. So that's where the whole certification and the quality control, everything comes, because it's a new industry. A lot of us don't know many things. It's like when I'm buying a medicine, I want to buy it from a proper company, not like some random brand. It's similar, like I'm trying to reduce plastic, which is causing harm to me, and I'm using an alternative, which is the same thing, and paying more money for it also maybe. So it's, yeah.
What I might say about certification is it's so important. It's crucial for the longer term trust building, right? So one of the very big example when we did alternative straw experiments. So we try to introduce biodegradable single-use alternative straw, like grass straw, pepper straw, and rice straw. So the first question we got from our partners, coffee shop, restaurants, is that, do you have certification on this product, right? And then when we asked back, do you have certification on the plastic straw you use? No, we don't. So that means plastic, has gained the certified trust to that level. People may not be asking about certification anymore because, it's so safe, maybe into their thinking, right? We don't know. So this is very important when we introduce new products, sort of thing. It's important. Certification plays a very important role in the longer term. If we want to make sure that, this is going to be sustainable, this is going to be widespread, it's going to be public, it's going to be popular. Certification at the early stage is very important. Okay.
And I take it very seriously. I mean, as somebody who is going out and promoting this stuff, it is my responsibility to be 100% sure. And not only to get the certification, but then to check it against the organization that gave it, make sure it's not a fake certificate. It is my responsibility to be able to answer those questions. And if I can't, then I'm not doing my job.
No. I think we're coming to our final minute, so I just want to offer if anyone has any final thoughts before we sign off. I think it's been a very interesting conversation so far from 4 great panelists, so if anyone has any final closing.
A final request to participants. So we're launching the Westpin experiment next week on November 9th, so do join, spread the word. If you have concept, anyone who able to design, we have make it a real product, testing together, so do join and spread the word. And thank you everybody, and I'm glad and honored to share the panel with circular economy leaders from different sectors. And thank you, Michael, for the moderating, and also the Waste Summit 2020 and Conrad team as well.
Final thoughts, final pitch.
Final
Good closing statement.
Not a final pitch. I'm really just happy to see that events like this are happening, and they're happening more often. To me, that is very encouraging. And so thank you for inviting me to participate. I love working with all of you guys. Let's keep it going.
So yeah, that's a good thing. Like a lot of people are doing things in silos, but I think since last year, mid last year, like we all have been coming together, especially in UNDP, and talking to each other, which is nice, because I learned a lot through the learning sessions, which I'm actually applying at work now. So that's been good, not working in silos and coming together and actually exchanging.
Let us all create awareness and let us be part of the change. I think at Knai Chatt, we can reach out to many people, and I hope we are able to do this in 2021.
Okay. I'd like to thank Jeff, Sandy, Phynuch, Chong for taking the time to come to UNDP and having this conversation with us. And thank you to everybody who tuned in. I hope you enjoyed the recording. I think will be available, and I I hope that you have a great rest of your Wednesday, and if there are any questions, please feel free to contact UNDP and Cass as well. Thank you.
Thank you.